So up next on our digital stage is Covercy. Duran Cohen, are you available, Duran? Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi,
Duran,
Ash.
how are you? Thank you for joining us today. It's my pleasure to have you guys on. For those of you that don't know Duran is the CEO and co-founder of Covercy, a fast-growing startup creating a network of commercial real estate GPs and LPs. Prior to Covercy, Duran co-founded Leverett, a software powerhouse providing cutting-edge trading solutions, which are the driving force of over 120 FX and CFD global spread brokerages. Duran held the position as the co-CEO and later chairman of Leverett, which he grew to 120 people across 5 countries. Duran, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Really excited for your presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and the digital stage is going to be yours, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ash. By the way, can you just unlock the video feature for us so that Mickey and I could have our cameras open?
It is unlocked, my friend.
It's blocked actually. Okay, but all right. Okay. So let me just share my screen. So just give me 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay. So we are Covercy, and what we do is we bring simplicity and trust to the world of commercial real estate investment, GPs and LPs. Before we kind of dive into details, so just to give a bit of the market we're at, which I think is probably kind of probably a lot of the people around here are from this already. So we serve the world of the 50,000 GPs. Some say 100,000 in the US, the owners, the 16 million accredited investors, and the 8 million investor-owned commercial real estate assets. And we are really around creating simplicity in this market. And if for those of you who have seen our software before, everyone I think is like, like mega dinosaurs. It's really hard to implement them and to use it. So that's our product. This is what we call Covercy GP. It basically enables GPs to manage the way they do fundraising, investor communications, and investment administration. And on the right side, you can see our product for investors. It's our investor portal, which is the only investor portal to which it is really super easy to sign up. It makes it very easy for investors to track transactions and to view reports. So a bit about myself. My name is Duran Cohen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Covercy. And as you kind of said before, the previous company I founded, Leverett, became one of the leading providers of technology in the retail foreign exchange world. I basically took it from a 4-people startup all the way to 120 employees and $20 million in revenues. And then basically went on to build Covercy. And with me, I got Mickey, who is our head of US accounts. Mickey comes to us from Altshuler, where it's a $40 billion AUM fund, where he was a mutual fund manager. And he'll walk us all through the product demo in just a couple of minutes. And maybe just a few words before we see the product about like how we kind of got here, because I think it's a pretty interesting story. We actually started a company 5 years ago as a cross-border payment platform, enabling people and businesses to send money between countries and currencies. But as we kind of grew, it turned out that our typical clients, or most interesting ones, were not that Germany was gonna send 2,000 euros to his brother in America who needed dollars, but instead, those were real estate investors funding their LP stakes in GP-driven transactions. And that was really neat because, I mean, they really benefited from our secure payments, and the GPs really benefited from being able to optimize the way they do capital calls and distributions, which eventually led us to become a full platform for the GPs and LPs in the commercial real estate space. And today we have an all-around platform, which we're going to see in a couple of minutes, that basically handles their day-to-day functionality. So just to put a little bit of numbers behind, so at the moment we have about 80 GPs that we serve and over 4,000 LPs that are already using our platform. The three main things that the product does are manage fundraising, investor communications, and investment administration. On top of that, we also optionally deal with all the payments, the capital calls and the capital distributions. We can actually process them ourselves through our payment rails, which Mickey will talk about a bit later. And now, Mickey, I'm going to pass it on to you to present the product to everyone here. Thank you.
Thanks, Doron. And thank you all for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm going to quickly share my screen. One moment. Just going to make sure that my screen is shared. 1 second. Okay, so as Doron mentioned before, just going to make sure that you guys see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. So as Doron mentioned before, we're really all about simplicity and simplicity of use. And that's the reason I decided to really start from the login page. So as you can see, logging into our system or signing up is as easy as opening your Gmail account or Amazon account. So of course, you only need an email and a password and you're in. So of course, I have already my account already pre-set up, and I'm just going to log in. And our system is actually built out of two interfaces. There's the GP side, and then there's the LP side, which is actually the investor portal. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on three main models here. I'm going to focus on the fundraising model, which is actually tracking all the fundraising and helping marketing the deal, and the reporting, and our very, very unique and powerful distribution model. So I'm going to go into an asset that I already pre-made. When you find a new asset, the first thing you like to do is create and add a new asset to the system. So you see the button, it's very easy. Just simply click and you start adding a new asset. I'm going to go into an asset that I already have created. So this is like the main dashboard screen of an asset that I've just created. And the first thing I would like to do is actually add the potential investors to this new deal that I want to fundraise. So in order to do that, I'm gonna use the internal integrated Light CRM that comes part of the system, where you can actually upload your entire pipeline of potential investors and contacts, including all their information. So I'm gonna click here on an Add Potential and choose Contacts. And then what I can do, I can actually filter them. So I'm gonna look for all the investors who are interested in multifamily, because this is a multifamily deal. I'm gonna tick them all and add them to this investment. So as you can see, I have 78 investors or potential investors. And what I can do is I can actually click for each one of the investors. I'm going to do here, I'm going to go and take myself. And what the system does actually, it tracks the journey that an investor goes through from the moment you want to first initially market the deal to him up until he actually moves the money. So as you can see here, the flow starts from potential all the way to invested. So the first thing I like to do is estimate the investment amount that I think this investor would like to invest. So let's say $1 million. And from there, the first thing I like to do is actually send him an offering deck. So I can send him an offering deck directly from the system and add a personal message if I want. Now, as you can see here, the offering deck is already part of the system. And I added it to the asset when I created it. So I'll send it over, and it gets to the investor to his personal email. Now, a very interesting thing that happens that you can see that immediately opens up this tracker here that actually tells me every time the investor opens the offering deck and when, and if he ever replied to it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly jump over to my personal email on the right side of the screen. And I'm going to refresh it. And here you can see an email came in with a new opportunity. Now, what I can actually do is open it up, and immediately opens up a landing page with basic information about this new deal. So I can have basic information. This is basic information that the GP decided to share with me as an investor. You can decide what you want to share and what you don't. And of course, I can download the full offering deck. Now, if you look at the left side, it starts to become really interesting. Automatically, it got updated that the investor has opened up the offering deck and when. Now, as an investor, I can directly respond back to the GP, telling him, expressing actually the level of interest I have in this new deal. If I'm not interested, I'd like to learn more, or I am interested. So let's say, suppose that I am interested, and I can also specify how much money I'm interested to invest. So let's say it's those $1 million. And I can also, sorry about that. And I can also add a personal message. So let's say, please call, and send it back to my GP. Now, at this point, as you can see, it gets automated, okay, updated automatically. And I get, as a GP, an email telling me that one of my investors has reacted to the offering deck. So I can go in and see that he's interested, how much money, and he also tells me to please call. So when you think about it, this is a really powerful tool that helps you focus your energy on those investors who are most likely to invest in this new deal. Okay, so it really saves you time and a lot of energy. Now, I called the investor, we talked, and he says to me, hey, ma'am, I'm in, please send over the papers. So at this point, I can mark him as committed. And what happens, he jumps automatically to the status as committed. And that's get reflected on the general dashboard. So you can see here I'm committed 5%, which is actually those $1 million. And I have a general tracker of how much am I from the total amount. So the next thing I would like to do is actually send him the operating agreement to sign. The system comes with fully integrated HelloSign by the Dropbox, which is like DocuSign. So you can prepare an agreement and send it to the investor to get electronically signed. Now, the more interesting thing is that you can also reuse the template. That means that you don't have to create or make an agreement for each investor separately. You only have to prepare one agreement, and then the system will automatically know how to take the names, the amounts, everything that actually changes between one investor to the other, and then reuse that template and send it to all the investors. So that also really saves you time. Now, saying that, of course, if there's an investor who doesn't want it to be sent electronically, doesn't know what to do with it, you can always, and he says, I want to come in to sign. Maybe not exactly the correct words to use in these days, I'm sorry. So you can, of course, sign it manually, and then you can overwrite the system and just say that he mark him as signed. Now, of course, if you do it electronically, the system will automatically update the status to sign. So I'm going to mark him as signed. And at this point, what you can do, you can actually upload that manual agreement that was signed in order to have all the agreements saved in one place for organization and security and all that. Now it's where things start to become really interesting for Covercy. As Rod mentioned, we're also a payment company. So we actually have our own payment rails, and you can literally send a payment request through the system. It will get to the investor's email with a link that takes him into our payment rails. The payment request will include already the amount that he has to move, and it will include the bank account of the LLC to where he has to move the money. So no dialogue has to be done between the GP and the investors towards where to send the money and how much and all that. Now, there are two main reasons, two main advantages for using our payment rails. The first one is tracking. Once you use our payment rails, you get full tracking at every stage, exactly where the money is. But more importantly, the investor can actually track the money through his LP portal and know exactly where it is at each stage and know that he actually landed at the LLC account. The second advantage, which I think is much more important, is the fact that our payment rails are completely wire fraud safe. So that means that by using our payment rails, you completely eliminate the threat of wire fraud, which is becoming a pretty big issue in real estate in the last few years. Just according to Forbes in 2019, a bit over $200 million were lost to wire fraud in the real estate business. Now, of course, we don't force to use our payment rails, and you can also bypass that and just mark him as invested, and that actually means that the money was sent through the traditional channels. So no problem, I'll mark him as invested. That means that the $1 million were actually invested, and that gets reflected on the dashboard here. So let's assume that we finished that flow with all the investors, and we actually finished the fundraise, hit our target. And now it's time to move the asset to under management. We acquired the asset, and now starts the reporting, distributions, and all that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly jump over to an asset that I already have that is under management. And this is how actually it looks at a property that is under management. You have some basic information. Of course, you have some pictures. And the first thing is you can see here overview. So overview, you have all the investors, and you can see the total distributions and the total contributions that were done throughout the entire life cycle of the deal. The next thing is the reporting, which we'll get to it in a few moments. And there's documents. Documents is actually the Dropbox of the deal, where you can upload all the documents that have to do with that specific deal. It also has permissioning capabilities, so you can decide with who to share that document. Like, for instance, if it's a K1 report, you can share it only that specific investor. If it's something that you want to share with the entire syndicate of the investors, that's no problem. And of course, the investor can actually access all those documents from his LP portal, which we'll see in a moment. Contributions is actually an option to multiply contributions. Like if you want to go for another fundraise, no problem, it supports that. In addition to the initial fundraise. And distributions, we'll get to that very soon. It's our very unique and powerful model. So we'll start from reporting. So as you can see, you can track record all your reports and see your previous reports that you have created and sent. And creating a report is very easy. You simply click here, create a report. Now, what we did is we actually built in a structured built-in report and with predefined topics. So that means that you don't have to start thinking how to build your report, how to structure it. It's already built in into the system, and you just have to dump in your data. Now, I believe that the best way to see the report will be, the most interesting way will be just to see how it looks from the investor point of view, on his eyes. So what we're going to do now, we're going to jump to the right side of the screen, and we're going to quickly jump into the LP portal. And also here you can see I'm starting from the login page, again, because of that simplicity. Just like logging into your Gmail account, all the investor needs is an email and a password, and he has already an account. So I'm going to log in. And this is actually my LP portal, and this is the portfolio of all my investments. And we're going to go into this investment, this specific investment. And what you can see here is divided into 3 tabs. Now we're going to discuss now the information tab. And over here is actually all the information, reports, etc. So you can see some basic information about the investment performance and some capital information. Now all this information was actually created when I created the asset. When I created the asset, I decided as a GP to share all this information with the investor. So as you can see, I can also share about the debt side. You can go in and see all the information about the loan and the project information if we're doing renovations or something like that. Asset details, you can go in and have some asset details. And down here are the reports. So I chose to show the report of Q4 2019. And first of all, I can share some basic information about the incomes and expenses and the occupancy. And here are those, here's the structure that I was talking about with the predefined topics. So summary, asset updates, tenant updates, cash flow, market updates. Now, as an investor, I can read more. I can go in and see all the information that the GP has decided to share with me. Now, of course, I can also download a full report. If the GP wants to attach a full PDF report, no problem. Images and videos, maybe of renovations or anything new that's going on with the assets. And I even have an FAQ section where I can add questions and put in answers that I think investors will be interested in. If anyone knows the answer to this one, I'm really asking to reach me out on a private channel. I think I would like to know the answer. So yeah, that's mainly the reporting model. And as you can see, it's really easy, really easy to use on the investor side. And of course, I can always go back and track previous reports that I was shared with. Now we're going to jump to the distribution model, which is a really powerful model. And it's very unique. Now, as you can see here, this is like previous distributions that were made. You can see exactly for which quarter, when the notifications were sent, payout dates, etc. And we're going to go through a process of a distribution now. So I'm going to click on New Distribution. And I can set for which period I want it. So let's say for Q4 2019. And I can select the type of distribution. So let's say it's a pref. And the currency is US dollars. Now, over here, obviously, it's a testing distribution. But what you'll actually be able to click here, you'll be able to add a special distribution account that will actually provide you. And once the money hits that account, it automatically gets distributed to all the target bank accounts of the investors. Okay? So the next thing I would like to do is I just have to enter for each investor how much money is supposed to get. So let's say that I'm supposed to get now for this distribution $10,000. And this guy here, Nathan, needs to get maybe, let's say $17,000. Cool. Now, what I also can do is for every investor, I can click and I can enter already the bank account that he would like to get the distribution to. Now, what's more interesting is that the investor himself, through the LP portal on the right side of the screen, can actually update the bank account that he wants to get the distributions to. So for instance, if suddenly in the middle of the life cycle of the deal, he wants to change the bank account where he wants to get the distributions, he doesn't have to talk to you as a GP, bother you, he just can actually go ahead and do it by himself through his LP portal. Now over here, I can actually track and see the bank account details and everything. So over here, I have the full amount of the distribution, and then I just click Create. So the next thing I would like to do is send all the investors a notification that they're going to get a distribution. So I click here and send notice, and the system will automatically generate notifications for this distribution. You can see here my name, the asset, how much money am I going to get, and the total amount of the distribution. Now, I can also add a personal message, which will be added to the notification, to the email with this notification of distribution. Now, in addition, I can also flip between the different notifications between the different investors. I'm going to click here, and you can see that the name has changed, and so did the amounts. What I have left to do now is simply click Send, and the notifications were sent, and I get this notice and exactly when. So I'll jump back to my personal email over here. You can see that I got an email with a distribution notice, and I can see all the information. Now, the next thing I have to do is simply click on Finalize Distribution and Make Payout. I click on it. I can add a personal message if I want. And this is actually a notification telling the investors that the money is actually on the way. So I finalize and send. And then now the last thing as a GP that you have to do is make one bank transfer of the entire sum of the distribution, and you're done. The money will hit the special distribution account, and from there it will get automatically spread out to all the accounts of the investors. Now, of course, you can track the status, okay? And it will get updated with each stage of the money where it gets to. So once you move it to the distribution account, it'll get updated. And once it hits the accounts of the investors, it will get updated. Of course, if I go now to distributions, our new distribution already appears. Now, what's more interesting as on the LP side as an investor, if I go now to that transactions tab and I refresh it, so I will now see this new distribution for the $10,000, and I can see that it's in progress. Once it hits my bank account, it will show here that it's complete. So this tab is actually shows me every dollar that ever went in and out of this deal throughout the entire life cycle. The last tab is actually the documents, which reflects back to the documents on the GP side, which lets me access and extract every document that I need from this deal, like K1 reports, quarterly reports, financial statements, etc. So actually, to sum it up, we kind of saw the whole flow from fundraising, reporting, distributions, including the processing of the funds. Now, when I talk about the distributions, you can see that it really saves you a lot of time. It auto-generates all the notices, and you can actually process the funds with one bank transfer. So I've pretty much wrapped it up, and I will let Doron continue from here. Thank you very much. Doron, get out of mute.
Yes, okay, thanks. So thank you, Mickey. I'm gonna reshare my screen here. So we've just seen what a product can do. And let's maybe dive a little bit into pricing. So in our space, as I kind of said before, everybody would force you into, long-term, long sales cycles, no transparency on pricing and all that. We're the only ones who really make that simple. Pricing is super clear. It's on our website. You can literally go to our website and see it, and it's right here. So it starts literally at $0 per asset per month, and it goes all the way to 200, depending on the exact specifics of the package you want to take. I'm not going to get completely into the details right now, but we're happy to take that in any discussion if you want, or you can read it on our website. But I do want to add that we have a really special promotion that we came up with for this event. And that would be 6 months of what we call Essentials Extra, which is basically $100 a month. And we would give it away for free for up to 10 assets. So that would have a value of up to $6,000. You're more than welcome to try it. And if you want to learn more about our product, then you are more than welcome to sign up online on our website. It's covercy.com, and I'll show you in a second how you can do it. It's super simple. Or if you want to have a more private demo where you can kind of ask your questions, share with us a bit about your business, and see how this could potentially be a fit for what you guys are doing, then no problem at all. You're more than welcome to contact us at our email at sales@covercy.com. And whenever you contact us, please remember to mention that you did come from CREtech, because we are going to apply that promotion to your account. And just to kind of show how simple it is for those of you who want to try it, want to try it by themselves, is just go to covercy.com, our website, and click on Get Started as a GP. Sign up for free in here. And that's it. Fill out a few forms, a few fields, and you're basically done. So with that pretty much done, thank you very much, Ash, and thank you everyone for being here. And we're more than happy to take your questions.
Doron, thank you very much. Mickey, thank you guys very much. For anyone that has any questions, please use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your page. There are a few questions. One regarding onboarding here. How complex is the onboarding process for a GP? Especially how we all love forms and we all love, in our world, we all love documents, but walk us through the complexity, if at all, the onboarding process there for a GP.
Yeah, so we basically really help our clients with it. I'd say, if you have whatever, 3 assets and 5 investors, you can do it yourself. Some of our clients, they come to us, with 50 assets and 1,000 investors. So this is where we really help them with it. We can do all the onboarding for them. We don't charge for that. And again, if you want to have a more private session on this, then happy to walk you through this.
That's awesome. Thank you. Regarding the promotion of a project, how long is the promotion process altogether, and how long is it valid for?
Okay, so we would give this for everyone who signs up basically in the coming week, or just or opts in for a demo. Just again, mention that you came to us from CREtech, and we'll just apply this to you.
That's awesome. And for those of you that are interested in learning more, we posted a link in the chat feature. So please go in and click on that link to learn more. We have a question from the audience from Richard Hall. Can you put that screen back up on the promotion? I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Mr. Cohn, if you don't mind, just resharing your screen there.
Sure. So these are the details down here. Okay,
Awesome.
so that's the Essentials Extra, and this is what we're giving away in this conference, basically.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. And then now obviously the current pandemic has impacted the greater real estate community. Just would love to kind of get your thoughts on how the coronavirus has actually impacted your business and just a greater industry. What do you see in the market nowadays, given the impact of the current pandemic?
Yeah, I'm actually being asked that a lot by our clients. So I think that it depends on if you look at the GPs, the owners, basically, it really depends on what kind of real estate they own. Those who own shopping centers or office spaces are obviously have got more hit than others who own, say, residential. Some of them have got hit too, though. But I think that what's common to almost all of them is that they're having harder times now. They're also trying to prepare for the opportunities that are going to be in the market pretty soon. We didn't see anyone fundraising for a few weeks, but in the last 2 weeks, we've started seeing people fundraising again, which I think kind of marks maybe an early reopening of the market. But I mean, it's still to be seen. But we also learned that for a lot of people, this is a time that they work more on their infrastructure, and then like many of the discussions we had with clients were always super busy, running around dealing with their day-to-day. Now actually, people are kind of seem to be more open and receptive to spending the time on integrating, implementing, and starting using a platform, and taking into consideration that with social distancing, it's really hard to keep a warm relationship, a close relationship with your investors. Then I think that people also see the value in doing this now more than ever.
I 100% agree with you. And my last question is, obviously you have that slide up, but if anyone needs to learn more about you and your company, where can they find it? Yes.
So as you can see, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, this is super easy. Literally go to covercy.com. You can read all about us there, or just email us at sales@covercy.com. We'll schedule with each of you for whenever works for you.
That's awesome. Duran, Mickey, thank you guys very, very much. I really appreciate the time, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you.